What's up, Pirates? Wraith and Jim here with Awaken TCG, and today we're going to be looking at ST14. So it's going to be the new starter deck that just released. The cards are all available now on the main website, and so we're going to go ahead and take a look at them.
Yep, this starter deck is going to be completely based around the time skip. It's going to be called 3 Days, 2 Years, 3D, 2Y. It's going to be all the Straw Hats when they were in their training arcs, pretty much, and a couple of the people that helped them out. So, our leader here, unfortunately, is going to be another Black Luffy. I really wish this was like Rayleigh or something, would have been way cooler. But it is going to be Luffy. It's going to be a typical 5 life, 5,000 power leader. Going to read Dawn X1. All of your characters have +1 cost, and then if you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, this leader is going to have 1,000 power. So this is plus 1,000 power on your opponent's turn as well. So you will be a 6k leader if you have an 8 cost or more character. Obviously, you only technically need a 7 cost character because by attaching 1 onto your leader, that automatically makes it an 8 cost. I'm going to say right now, I think this whole increasing cost archetype is really bad game design. I think it's like a band-aid over a bigger problem. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just really don't like the design of these cards. And I think they're honestly not going to be good either, but I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're not really getting, like you said, that effect until your 7 Dawn turn if you play a 7 cost. Well, even then, you'd have to attach 1 Dawn to make that an 8 cost. So you're not really using this leader's effect until turn 4, turn 5, which means you're a vanilla leader until then, which kind of sucks. Unless there's other effects in this deck. Obviously, we're about to go through the cards and see if we can hit that leader effect earlier on. But it seems pretty bad. It seems pretty bad. You want to cost minus with black. Going cost plus means it's kind of counterintuitive. But if the support's strong enough, this deck might be good. I don't know. We'll see. So let's go ahead and go up to the first card here.
Yeah, so it's going to be Usopp. When he gained a little bit of weight during his training arc, he's going to be a 3/4, 1,000 counter, and the Straw Hat Crew type. I'm going to read Dawn X1. When attacking, if you have a character on board with a cost of 8 or more, you can KO one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 4 or less. So that's actually like a pretty solid KO effect if it weren't for the fact that we need an 8 cost or more on board, which means like, are we really at the stage in the game where we have 8 costs on board and we care about like a 3/4 on board? I don't know. Kind of awkward because you can play this early, but it's not doing anything early because you don't have any 8 costs on board. It just doesn't sound good to me, honestly.
Yeah, no, this I don't know, these cards so far. I mean, this is the first one, but it seems very weird. You probably wouldn't even play this until later on, but then by then it's like, what are you doing to KO 4 or less? Are you comboing and making this deck have cost minus effects? Seems troublesome.
Yeah, and next up here we have Sanji. It's going to be our first SR in this deck. First thing I'm going to say, I hate this art. His face looks terrible. Everything else, the background looks fine, but I don't know why they made him look that bad. I know he looked terrible in the manga, but I don't know. It just does not look right with me. It's gonna be a 5/6 with no counter, Straw Hat Crew type. Again, gonna be on play. If you have a character with the cost of 6 or more, you can KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So this one's actually not bad. We can play this on 6 Dawn by attaching 1 to leader, and then play out Sanji for our other 5. He counts himself now that our leader basically makes him a quote unquote 6 cost, and then he's going to KO a 5 or less, which means your opponent was just on 5 Dawn since you're on 6, and you can KO whatever they played on curve. So I actually like this card. This one's not bad. I could even possibly see like normal black decks playing this. Just a 5/6 that KOs a 5 cost sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, just like a Gadatsu, right? A Gadatsu, but without counter.
Yeah.
I mean, with the small prerequisite, but you could use this at any point in the game, which feels pretty good. I mean, unless you're on another leader where you can't use this effect on its own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, cool
Not
card
great.
concept.
Yeah. Next up here we got Jinbe. Jinbe is going to be a 3/4 with 1,000 counter, going to have an activate made once per turn effect. Up to one of your characters with one of your black characters with the Straw Hat Pirates type gets +2 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this is another effect where we're increasing our character's cost to make them harder to remove. Um, and this is a 3/4. So we're pretty much say going first, playing this on 3, and then like next turn we play a 5 cost, we could like buff it to a 7 cost, so it's harder to get rid of. Like I just think this whole archetype of increasing our character's cost is really bad because like what if we're playing against red? It just doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
If I'm playing against any deck that doesn't care about cost, like even like Enel and stuff, he just has Rygo. You could just kill anything. Like I don't know.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
this
like it.
card is useless. In any other deck. Um, what does the effect do? Nothing. Honestly, it does
I mean,
nothing. Plus
like
two.
yeah, it's like slightly annoying against like Sakazuki and like black decks.
That's banned,
Right,
by the way.
Sakazuki's banned. Like, so let's say Moria, right? It's like slightly good against Moria,
Moria or
so you make it
Lucci.
make it a little annoying to get rid of your guys. But like, again, it's like a band aid to like a bigger problem, and I just think it's really dumb, and it's not going to be good on top of that. Um. Anyway, next up here, 4/6 Chopper, Vanilla, Straw Hat, and Animal type. So this one we thought you were going to be able to play in the new Chopper, but it turns out he's not red black. He's actually red green, so you can't even play this in that deck. So
Cool art though. I like the art.
yeah. And then next up here, we've got our last SR in the deck. It's going to be Nami. Nami is a 3/2 with 1,000 counter and the Straw Hat type. Going to be a blocker, and that's going to be on play. If you have a character with a cost of 8 or more and 6 or less cards in hand, draw 1 card. So 3/2 blocker that draws a card. If you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, so this is doing nothing early. This is like pretty decent later in the game. It would be a lot better if it was a 2 cost. We could like play it off of Moria. That would be pretty nuts. Um, but otherwise, like again, another card that's not really doing anything, and you have like a super prerequisite, which makes this completely unplayable in the early game. This card sucks. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. This card here, they're making this deck a little too hard to play. Like I think you have to do a little too much, for not that much of a benefit. So it's like very high risk, very low reward kind of deck is what the vibe I'm getting is from this deck.
Yeah, agree. Next up here, we have Nico Robin. Love this art, by the way. It's going to be a 6 cost, 7,000 power with a 1,000 counter. Going to be a Straw Hat Crew. Going to be on play and when attacking. If you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, so that effect, once again, up to one of your opponent's characters gets -5 cost to the turn. So now we need to be running KO effects on top of increasing our own character's cost, or else this card just doesn't really do anything early. Because if we have one attached to leader, this is only becoming an AK. So now we need more like cost, not reduction, cost increasing of our own characters. Like a 6/7 body's good. It's just so slow. Like I don't know. I feel like none of these cards do anything. I don't like any of these cards.
Yeah, we're not really getting much done here. We have to not only play this body for 6, have it stick for a turn, and then got to make sure we have an 8 or more, a cost 8 or more on the board, which means that's a lot of fucking setup to try to get a cost -5 when you can just go Ice Age for 1.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like this at all. I do not like what I'm seeing from this starter deck, honestly.
Yeah. Next up here, we've got Hade Dasu. That's kind of a weird name. It's going to be a 1 cost, 0 power with 2K counter. So this is a 2K. It has the Sky Island type, so it's actually not searchable in this deck, which is also not good. Non-searchable 2Ks are usually not good unless they have an insane effect. This one's effect is going to be activate main. You can arrest the character. Up to one of your characters, black characters with the Straw Hat Pirates type, it's +2 costs until the end of your opponent's next turn. After that, if you have a character with a cost 8 or more, draw 1, discard 1. So same thing as Jinbe, except you have to rest this guy. He's going to give +2 to one of your own characters, making them harder to get rid of, and then he's going to cycle.
Yeah, you're never playing this
So
card.
no, I mean, like best case scenario, you have a 5 cost on board. You attach one to leader to make it a 6 cost, and then you can use this effect to make it an 8 cost and then cycle. Like, but even then, that play doesn't even seem good to me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's like you're doing a lot just to cycle 1, and you're getting rid of a 2K. So,
Yeah,
um,
you're increasing cost of your character, but it's like that's only good in certain matchups. Other matchups, our deck is not doing anything.
yeah, this deck is kind of like maybe geared towards countering itself or countering its own color, but now Sakazuki's banned, and then the best removal on black side is what, probably Lucci or Moria.
Yeah, Boa also has like removal with like the 7 cost
Okay.
bottom deck 2/6s and stuff like that. So it like counters a few decks, but like realistically, the best deck is Law. That completely removes on power. So this deck doesn't do anything against that. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just too awkward.
Hmm.
Let's get into this next card. Frankie, 5/6, 1,000 counter, Straw Hat type, going to be a Dawn X1 on your opponent's turn. If you have a character with a cost of 6 or more, so usually this is going to actually count itself, considering leader buffs this by 1, so this should count itself. This character will not be KO'd by your opponent's effects and will have plus 2,000 power. So this is only on your opponent's turn. So it's going to be a 5/8. On your turn, it's still going to be just a 5/6. But basically, on your opponent's turn, this card's going to be like pretty hard to get rid of. Even for Law, because it gets plus power. So you're gonna have to cost reduce it by 5k, which is like double Gordon. That's not easy. So this card I can kind of get behind. It's still just like a 6k body. That's hard to remove. That's really all it is. Like in that case, I'd probably rather play like 5/6 Marco in red. This is like a lot more complicated version of it. I don't know.
Yeah, but I at least I like this being cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects with the cost
Mm-hmm.
6 or more, which is like, okay, attach one to leader, now to 6.
Yeah,
Which makes sense. This card makes sense. Like, okay, this card's pretty good.
yeah,
Not, oh, 6/7 Robin. Swing, if you
yeah.
have an 8 or more, you can get -5.
Yeah, no. This card
But
actually works, right? In theory.
yeah.
Next up here, it's Brooke, 5/7 vanilla straw hat. Not much to say there. Only vanilla I think would be worth talking about would be like a 7/9,
Hmm.
right? Because then we could attach one to leader and we have an 8
Hmm.
instantly.
Hmm.
Next one here we have a Hercules. It's going to be another 1 cost, 2k power and 2,000 counter. Going to be non-searchable again with the Bowen Islands type. Activate main. You can use this character. You can put the character in rest. Up to one of your characters with black and straw hat is going to get plus 2 costs until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this is like literally the exact same as the other 2k. The only difference is that this card has 2,000 power. That is literally it. Yeah, again, if I didn't like the other card, I don't like this card.
Yeah. It's like, what do I even say? Like, this whole starter deck has just been very subpar, in my opinion. Definitely one I'm just gonna buy a one of and keep sealed. I doubt we see something from the starter deck played, but we could be very wrong. Maybe one of the next sets have some crazy support for this archetype, and then it's just the best deck, right? We never know. Especially with older cards, it always happens time and time again. Some older card that doesn't seem, too good could potentially be, a 4 of staple, which is interesting to say, but it's happened in the past. But as of right now, yeah, this deck is cooked.
Next up here, we've got Monkey D. Luffy. Going to be an 8, cost 10,000 power, so really good stat line at least there. This one also being an 8 cost instantly puts your effects online, but it's going to read if you have a character with a cost of 10 or more, this character gets rush. So um, another one that's like kind of awkward because leader is not even making this a 10. I wish like this was either said 9 or more, or it was a 9 cost, so we can immediately give it rush. But I don't know. Maybe in this deck, it's going to make it a lot easier. But still, like no counter, 8 10k. Like it's a scary body, but you can't do it on curve really. Another card I don't like,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. I mean, unless isn't there activate main? Where was it?
Yeah, it's activate main, but I mean, yeah. So like, if you have this on board, you could like do this, and then Luffy gets rush.
But
But
like, how plausible is that, right?
I mean, yeah, it's like kind of plausible, but like, is it even good?
If we're
Like,
playing any
no.
red deck or RP law, that one drop just gets destroyed instantly. They know what you're
Yeah,
trying to do,
right.
right?
Yeah, and
But
even that, it's like this is not that strong of a play. It's like an 8 10 rush. It's
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Another vanilla 6/8. Unfortunately, like I said, I wish we had a 7/9. This is one off, so we're just not there. Yeah, we have Zoro vanilla, not awesome.
To be fair though, again, this card art is probably my favorite in the whole starter deck that
Yeah,
I've seen. This art is sick. Like Zoro here
waste
looks
of a
so
card
cool.
art. this should have been a full art on like a alt art for some card in the future.
Yeah.
Wasting it on a vanilla in the starter deck is absolutely criminal, dude.
Yeah.
That's terrible. All right, next up here we got our first event. It's going to be Gum Gum Giant Rotating Bullet. I don't know if that's the right translation. We're going to go with it. It's going to be Straw Hat type, a one cost counter event. If you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, your leader or one of your character gets 3K for the battle, and then on trigger, add one character card with the cost of 2 or less from your trash to your hand. So draw on trigger is pretty good, but realistically, this is like it's like guard point, but we don't always get the effect. So bad.
Yeah, so like if you don't have an 8 cost or higher, like the card just does nothing.
Yep, exactly.
Like what are they thinking? Like at least give it like
4K, right?
Make it a 3. Make it a 3 if you have an 8 or more. Make it a rad beam. Okay, fine. You don't want to do that. Make it a 2 at least. Give it 3 if it, like it's just a useless card. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next up here we've got Gomu Gomu Devil's Win 3-sword style button. Yeah, it's basically Sanji, Luffy, and Zoro's attacks combined. I love how big the text is on the bottom. That's actually pretty funny. It's going to be a 2-cost event. Main, give your leader up to one of your characters 3,000 power during this turn. After that, if you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. On trigger, if you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So it's like a Thunderbolt trigger with specification, so not good. And then it's going to be another kind of Houndblaze type where it's a 2 cost plus 3K. And that's going to have another effect on top of it. This one's going to KO a 2, but it's only if you have an 8 or more. So
that's pretty good for the black archetype because, black runs Moria. So
sure.
If you have the Moria out already, you do some cost reducers. Now you have your own Houndblaze, right? Which is, this card's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. This card's pretty good.
Yeah, this just made me think of a card that might be really good in this deck. The 7-cost Dress Rosa Luffy, they can restand itself because that's already a 7-cost. Leader effect makes it an 8-cost, and like for running this card, you buff it by 3K double swing. That sounds decent.
Yeah, Rebecca might make a comeback. Like you run that in Rebecca.
Okay, we're seeing a little bit of hope for this deck.
Then you have access to not only this but Houndblaze as well. With that Luffy.
Yeah. That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, no, like this card here would be pretty nuts.
And next up here, I have my friends. It's going to be a 1-cost main event with Straw Hat type. Draw 1 card. After that, up to one of your opponent's characters gets plus 3 cost. Oh, sorry. Up to one of your characters gets plus 3 cost to the end of your opponent's next turn. On trigger, KO one of your opponent's characters the cost of 3 or less. So glad there's no specification there. So this is always a one draw 1, which is already good. And then we're giving plus 3 cost to one of our characters. I don't know how amazing that is, but I know if we're playing this deck, this is like a 4-up staple. This is like a great card for this deck.
Yeah, 100%.
And last up here, we have our stage to go along with this deck. It's going to be a 1-cost stage, and it's going to read all characters, all black characters with the Straw Hat Pirates trait. Gain plus 1 cost, and then also on play, if your leader has the Straw Hat Pirates type, draw 1 card. So instantly replacing itself. Now it's on the board for the rest of the game. That's already really good. And now every single Straw Hat we play has plus 1 cost. So another card, if we're running this deck, you need to run a 4-up. I'm kind of seeing the light now, because now if we're running 6 costs, they're immediately at 8 with leader effect. I kind of like it. But again, I just think the whole archetype itself is broken. Like there's just some matchups where our deck actually isn't doing anything. I don't know. But for this archetype, yeah, this is like a 4-up staple. This is really good.
Yeah, no. Finally, we get the stage. This deck is going to it's going to have to rely on the stage a lot just because you need that +2. Because just having only +1 on your leader doesn't really do the trick. But at least if you have this, and then you can do the +1 with your leader, giving everything +2 that you start playing feels pretty good and makes the deck a little more playable. But overall, I'm gonna give this deck a 5.5 out of 10.
That's pretty generous, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. There's some cards where they'll shine in other decks for sure, but for the most part, the deck doesn't really seem that cohesive to me. I probably wouldn't play this starter deck or any of the cards in it. Besides a few, I think it's interesting that they're trying new stuff though. I like it. Makes you wonder what else they'll come up with. Maybe some better ideas and not this shit.
Yeah,
But it's
definitely.
new.
Yeah, not well thought out. I think just like not a doesn't sound fun to play. It just sounds like annoying if you're like playing against a black deck or a blue deck. It sounds annoying for them. Like, but even then, like if I'm playing Black Lucci, I think I'm still beating this deck. Like
Yeah.
I still have Stussy and stuff, and my cards actually do things. Like, like this deck doesn't do anything. Like it's just like trying to be annoying, and then like the benefits you get off of being annoying are like, okay, I get a cycle, or I get a rush on this card, or like I get a draw one. Like nothing is winning you the game. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't like
no,
it.
I agree. I agree. 100% agree. Um, deck is very mediocre. We're gonna have to wait and see if any of these cards make it into any other decks because, by itself, not good. The leader, without these cards, not playable. So we're gonna have to see. But that is gonna be the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We went over all the ST14 cards that are now out on the official One Piece website. If you haven't already, go ahead and like our video. Comment down below what you think of this deck, and if you have any ideas on what you can use some of these cards for, let us know because I think that's really cool. Subscribe to our channel. Go down to the links below. Subscribe to our Patreon. We got new content coming out, guides coming out, a lot of best of 3 sets with a lot of great players that you guys might know coming out very soon. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.